What if the voice telling you to quit went silent forever? What if the struggle you're facing right now isn't a sign that you should stop, but a signal that you're about to break through? You were not given this pain to destroy you. You were given it to build you. The pressure, the fatigue, the doubt. This is not your exit, this is your proving ground. Because no man has ever risen without first being broken. No empire has ever stood without surviving the storm. No mind has ever been made of steel without walking through fire. You say it's hard? Good. That means it's working. This speech is not here to comfort you. I did not come to give you permission to stop. I came to wake up the force that lives beneath your weakness, the version of you that fights, that executes, that refuses to crawl back into comfort. Let the quitters quit. Let the fearful retreat. But you do not quit. You do not break. You've come too far. You've survived too much. And everything you fought for waits just beyond this pain. So you don't stop here. You don't break here. You build here. Now stand up inside your own mind and let the world hear your silence louder than their noise. This is your hour. Let's begin. When the going gets hard, most men look for a way out. They begin to whisper lies to themselves. Maybe this wasn't meant for me. Maybe now is not the right time. Maybe I've done enough. But let me speak to the part of you that remembers who you were before the world taught you how to retreat. Pain is not your enemy. Pressure is not a signal to stop. Resistance is not a red light. It is a gatekeeper, a test, a sacred threshold that only the few, the builders, the doers, the deciders, ever walk through. And the man who walks through it is not the same man who entered. He is stronger, sharper, more real. That is the purpose of hardship, to strip you down until all that remains is truth, until every excuse burns away in the fire, until only the part of you that is unbreakable survives. Andrew Carnegie once told me something I never forgot. Adversity is the refining fire of destiny. It burns away the weak man. It leaves only the man who is ready to lead. Carnegie did not rise from privilege. He was a poor Scottish immigrant, working in a telegraph office, earning almost nothing. But every hour he worked, he watched, he listened, he prepared. And when the opportunity came, he did not flinch, because the fire he walked through, the long days, the uncertainty, the low pay, had already forged his mind. And here you are, standing in your own fire. Now I ask you, what will this fire leave behind? Will it leave a man who folded under pressure, or a man so focused, so steady, so commanding that the world has no choice but to move around him? Charles M. Schwab faced pressure too. As the right hand of Carnegie, he faced storms of industry, the roar of competition, the resistance of older, richer, more experienced men. But what set Schwab apart was not his genius, it was his resilience. He did not fold. He moved swiftly, decisively. He led from the front when others shrank into the shadows. I once asked him how he dealt with fear, and he said, "Mr. Hill, fear is a fog, and a man must learn to walk forward, even when he cannot see." You may not see your future clearly right now. You may be lost in the fog of fatigue, surrounded by doubt. But hear me clearly. You still walk. You still move. You still build. Because the man who waits for clarity will never lead. And the man who says, "I'll push when it's easier," will never arrive. Let's talk about Henry Ford. A man who was told his vision was foolish, that cars were a novelty, that they would never replace the horse. Even his own engineers said his dream of building an 8-cylinder engine was impossible. And do you know what Ford told them? Build it anyway. Not once, not twice, over and over again, until they did. Because Ford understood something the average man never will. When everything resists you, it is not always the world testing you. It is your own mind asking, Do you really want this? And you answer, not with words, but with persistence, relentless execution, unbreakable identity. Ford didn't become great because it was easy. He became great because it was hard, and he kept moving anyway. You think success comes with ease? You think the men who built nations, industries, movements, you think they did it while being comfortable? Number, they did it tired. They did it misunderstood. They did it surrounded by doubt, not just from the world, but from themselves. But they moved anyway, because they made a decision, and they never reopened the door to retreat. If you are tired right now, good. It means you've been in the arena. If you are doubting yourself right now, good. It means you're pushing the boundaries of what you thought was possible. If you are under pressure, good. It means you're doing something that matters. But listen carefully. I will not let you quit, because quitting now is not just a betrayal of your goals. It is a betrayal of your identity. And I know the man you are becoming, the man who keeps showing up, the man who listens not to fear, but to vision, the man who would rather suffer for purpose than coast in mediocrity. Let the crowd rest. Let them doubt. Let them walk away when it gets heavy. But you do not get to quit, because this fire you're in right now, it is making you. And when you rise from it, not if, but when, the world will know that you were not lucky. You were not gifted. You were forged. You must understand something now, perhaps more deeply than you ever have before. The pain you feel today is not a punishment. It is a process, a sacred rite of passage, a furnace designed to burn away the soft edges, the hesitations, the illusions, and leave behind only iron. Yet what do most men do when they feel that fire? They run, they hide, they retreat into comfort, into the familiar. But you will not do that. You were not built to run. You were built to withstand. You were built to build. And nothing worthy has ever been built without cost. Let's speak plainly. There will be days when nothing goes your way, when the voices around you question everything you're doing, when even the smallest steps forward feel like dragging stones uphill, and on those days and the temptation will whisper, maybe I should pause. Maybe I should slow down. Maybe I should quit. But those whispers are not your voice. They are the echoes of drift, of old identity, the version of you that never finished anything, and you are done living like that. You must now speak louder than those whispers. You must say, no, I am not going anywhere. I may be tired, I may be stretched, but I am not broken. I will not fold, and I will not leave this chapter unfinished. This, right here, right now, is the moment when your identity changes. Not with a celebration, not with a crowd watching, but with a choice. The choice to continue. The choice to carry the weight, even when your legs shake. The choice to not back down. When Abraham Lincoln led a divided nation through the fires of civil war, he was not met with applause. He was attacked from every side, mocked, slandered, betrayed. Even his own cabinet doubted him. Even the people questioned him. The war dragged on longer than anyone expected. And still, Lincoln stood, quiet, focused, unbending. He carried the burden, not because he was invincible, but because he had decided what must be done. He was anchored to his mission. And that is what you must become now, anchored to your mission, anchored to your future, anchored to the man you said you would become. There will be no applause for this decision, no audience, no instant reward, just silence, just pain, just progress. But make no mistake, every day you push through this storm, you are building a life that no storm can ever shake. This right here is where you earn the crown. Not when it's easy, not when you feel good, but now, when it's hard, when it's heavy, when every part of you wants to stop, and you don't. The man who continues when he could quit becomes undeniable. Let me tell you something the world won't tell you. Most people give up just before the moment that would have changed everything. They were one conversation away, one client away, one habit away, one more rep, one more call, one more sunrise of discipline. And they let it go, not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked endurance. They quit because the going got hard. Let this burn into your mind. You are not most people. You are not average. You do not operate by feelings. You do not follow ease. You follow purpose. You follow vision. You follow a code. And that code, it's carved into your spirit with words like relentless, resilient, ruthless. And that code does not include quitting. When Thomas Edison was building the electric light, he failed thousands of times. Thousands. He watched his materials explode. He watched people call him a fool. He watched his own team lose faith. And yet, he never once doubted the outcome, because he had already decided what the end would be. Each failure, just another confirmation of progress. He didn't need proof to believe. He believed and created the proof. That's the standard you must hold yourself to now. This moment you're in, this pressure, this doubt, it is not a wall. It is a passage, and you are walking through it. Head up, eyes forward, heart full of decision. You do not stop when it's hard, you become harder. You do not retreat from resistance, you rise through it. You do not ask, will I make it? You say, watch me build this until there's no doubt left. And if no one claps, you keep going. If no one sees the work, you keep going. If no one believes in you, you believe, you execute, you finish. Because the fire you are in right now is temporary, but the strength it will leave in you, that will last forever. There will come a day when all this pressure, this pain, this fatigue, this loneliness, it will make sense. A day when the weight you carried becomes the strength you wear, when the silence you endured becomes the stillness in your soul, when the work you did in the dark becomes the light that others follow. But that day, that glory, that transformation, it only comes to the man who refuses to lay down. It does not come to the clever. It does not come to the entitled. It does not come to the man who quits when it hurts. It comes only to the one who kept moving, even when nothing made sense, even when no one clapped, even when no one believed. You must become that man. Do not confuse this pain for punishment. It is preparation. It is refinement. You are not broken. You are being forged. The weak version of you is being burned away. The fearful version of you is being stripped off. The old identity that needed comfort, applause, and validation is dying. And that is good. Because when it dies, the real you is born. Not the man who starts strong and fades, not the man who needs good feelings to keep moving, the man who builds when it's boring, the man who moves when it's lonely, the man who finishes what he started. The truth is simple. Dreams do not belong to the man who plans them. They belong to the man who suffers for them, who builds them, who bleeds for them. When Charles M. Schwab said, "The men who run when things get hard don't realize they were 10 feet from the gold," he wasn't speaking theory. He was speaking history. He watched it happen again and again. Men, good men, capable men, who were one step away from breakthrough, quit. Not because they couldn't win, but because they couldn't endure. So I say to you now, endure. Endure the silence. Endure the uncertainty. Endure the unseen hours. Because those who continue when it's hard are the only ones who deserve the reward when it finally arrives. Say this aloud. I do not pause when it gets hard. I lean in. I do not seek escape. I seek mastery. Pain is not a reason to quit. It is proof that I am being rebuilt. Let these words live in your chest. Let them anchor you when the path grows cold. Because when you keep walking, when you keep building, even when the light disappears, you become the storm, not the victim of it. There's a secret few men understand. Pain is not your enemy. Pressure is not your enemy. Comfort is your enemy. Comfort whispers, stay here. Rest here. Quit here. But pressure? Pressure is the test. Pressure is the proof of who you are becoming. when the pressure hits, when the weight feels unbearable, you are standing on the edge of transformation, not collapse, not defeat, evolution. Think of Thomas Edison. 10,000 failures, 10,000 moments of doubt, and still he moved forward. Not because he didn't feel fear, but because he had already decided, this is happening. The pressure does not push me back, it pushes me forward. The man who becomes unshakable does not avoid storms. He welcomes them because he knows every ounce of pressure is a signal that he is leveling up. There is a truth you must face now. You cannot reach the summit with one hand still holding the safety rope. You cannot conquer your calling while keeping a door open to retreat. If you want to win, you must burn the bridge, not out in the world, inside your own mind. You must destroy every excuse that allows you to stay small, because as long as a man leaves himself an exit, he will always retreat when the pressure rises. But the man who says, there is no plan B, I am committed, I will not turn back, that man becomes unstoppable. Andrew Carnegie once told me, the man who seeks greatness must first destroy every excuse that allows him to remain small. He lived it. He worked like his life depended on it, because it did. No back door, no soft landing, no backup plan, full commitment, full focus, full fire. That's what separates the winners from the watchers. You must declare it now. I do not entertain escape. I do not flirt with failure. I move forward, and I do not look back. Let those words become the wall that keeps fear out. Let them become the foundation you build your future on. You don't need more motivation, you need more finality. The man who burns the bridge forces destiny to respond. He leaves no way back, only through. There is a dangerous lie that has stopped more men than failure ever could. It's the myth of the right time. The belief that one day when the stars align, when the finances are perfect, when the fear disappears, then a man will act. But let me make it crystal clear. There is no right time. There is only now or never. The man who waits for ideal conditions dies waiting. Thomas Edison didn't wait for permission. Henry Ford didn't wait for applause. Abraham Lincoln didn't wait for peace before taking action. They moved, they built, they acted, even when it hurt, because they understood. Motion creates momentum. Hesitation creates more hesitation. Every time you delay, your mind hears the delay and says, maybe this is dangerous. Maybe we aren't ready. Maybe we shouldn't move. And slowly the fire inside you dims. You don't lose your dreams overnight. You lose them in the pauses. Let's be brutally honest. The man who does not control his emotions will never control his destiny. Emotions are like storms. They come and go. They rise and fall. If your life is governed by feelings, you will live like a ship tossed by every wave. One day you're motivated. One day you're not. One day you're confident. One day you're full of doubt. That is no way to live. That is no way to build. Feelings are not facts. They are whispers, suggestions. But you must act on identity, not on emotion. Andrew Carnegie once said, the man who learns to rule himself will soon rule many. And he lived it. He didn't act when it felt good. He acted because it was right. That's the lesson. You don't move because you feel like it. You move because you decided to. You will have days where your mind screams, I'm tired. I'm afraid. Maybe I'm not enough. Good. Feel the fear. Acknowledge the fatigue. But move anyway. Say it aloud. I am not my feelings. I am my decisions. I feel fear. I feel doubt. But I move anyway. Because action rewires the man. The more you move when it hurts, the less power your emotions hold over you. The man who masters himself masters everything else. Your mindset dictates your future. This is not some motivational slogan. This is law. Every thought you nurture, every belief you entertain, every perspective you adopt becomes the lens through which you see your life. If that lens is clouded with fear, with doubt, with weakness, then every opportunity will look like a threat. Every challenge will feel like a defeat. But if your mind is sharpened with resilience, with courage, with belief, even the darkest paths will begin to reveal light. Picture your mind like a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. Your beliefs are the soil. If you plant fear and hesitation, you will reap regret. But if you plant courage, if you plant action, if you plant gratitude, then greatness will grow. You are not at the mercy of the storms. You are the gardener. You choose what grows. Catch yourself when negativity creeps in. I can't do this. This always happens to me. I'm not good enough. These are weeds. Pull them out immediately. Replace them. I will find a way. Every setback builds me. I am more capable than I realize. With repetition, these thoughts become your reality. The men you admire, the ones who build empires, the ones who transform nations, they do not live in different worlds. They simply built stronger inner worlds. They trained their minds like warriors train their bodies, sharpened against resistance, strengthened through adversity, conditioned to see opportunity where others saw obstacles. You must do the same. Feed your mind daily. Read greatness. Listen to greatness. Speak greatness. Because your life will always rise to meet the level of your mindset. You may have the most brilliant vision, the most detailed plan, the most inspiring dream. But if you do not act, if you never move, if you never build, all of it fades into nothingness. The world does not reward the ones who merely dream. It rewards the ones who do, those who rise each morning, not just with hope in their hearts, but with action in their hands. The greatest tragedy in life is not failure. It is regret. Regret for the dreams never chased, the songs never sung, the books never written, the businesses never built. Dreams are not destroyed by critics. They are buried by hesitation, by fear, by delay. Success belongs to the doers, the ones who act despite fear, the ones who move even when it's messy, the ones who push forward when the odds are stacked high. Your first step will not be perfect. It may be clumsy. It may be small. It may even be invisible to the world. But it will separate you from 99% of people who only talk. You don't need all the answers. You don't need complete clarity. You need motion, because motion attracts momentum. Action builds confidence. Movement creates power. The man who acts daily, even imperfectly, builds an identity of strength. Say it aloud. I do not wait for conditions to be perfect. I create perfection through action. I do not wait for clarity. I create clarity through movement. You do not need permission. You do not need applause. You need one thing: to begin. Right now, not later, not tomorrow, because your future is not shaped by what you think. It is shaped by what you do. You say you want change. You say you want strength. You say you want greatness. But greatness is not born from inspiration. It is built through repetition, not once, not twice, daily. It's not enough to hear truth once and move on. You must install it. You must rehearse it. You must carve it into your mind until it becomes part of your very being, because repetition is not boring. Repetition is the chisel that shapes the stone. There will come a day when the pressure returns, when doubt returns, when the storm rises. You must not be surprised. You must not panic, because you have been training for that day. You have been building the habits, the identity, the standard that will not fold when tested. You do not seek the easy life. You do not seek comfort. You seek transformation. You seek mastery. And mastery demands that you train when it's quiet, so you can conquer when it's loud. Say it with force now. I do not need to feel ready. I repeat readiness. I do not search for strength. I speak it into existence. I do not listen once. I live this daily. I do not quit. I conquer. Because the man who masters repetition masters himself. And the man who masters himself fears nothing. Not failure, not fatigue, not loneliness, not resistance. You were not born unbreakable, but you are becoming unbreakable by choice. Every day, every step, every moment you refuse to stop, you rise. And when the world sees you again, they will not recognize you, because you will not be the same man who started this journey. You will be the man who finished it. Now go, move, building, become, because you are no longer waiting to be ready. You already are.